So most analysts think that they are well-rounded, but they're not. After working with hundreds of analysts, I've noticed something. All analysts fall into one of 4 of these categories that I'll be going over in this video. And which category you're in is silently determining your salary, your promotions, and how your team actually views you. So let's find out where you stand. So hi, if you're new, my name is Zazo. I've been in the tech industry for almost a decade at this point, 4 of those years being within data analytics. I'm currently a senior data analyst, and I've worked with hundreds of data analysts, and they almost always fall into one of these 4 categories. So I'm gonna explain what those categories are so that you can determine where you're at and where you need to go or grow to get that next promotion. Let's get into it. All right, so the first type of analyst is what we call the data wrangler. So this analyst is really just trying to learn how to control the chaos of data in the day-to-day. So for this analyst, you spend most of your time cleaning messy data. You do a Google search or you do some type of ChatGPT prompt in order to get any type of out of the ordinary queries done. So anything that may get a little tricky where you have to use something like a subquery or a CTE, and it's not just a quick pull, you might use a little help. Right now, you're in the midst of trying out a lot of tools just to see what works. Just making something work seems like such a big victory. So really, your job at this stage is to start building good habits and not just a tool collection. You need to start transforming raw data until it's analysis ready, and you need to focus on repetition. A lot of small, ugly projects, but right now it's just about getting those reps. So if you're in this stage, I'm gonna give you a couple tips on how to start leveling up. So the first thing you need to do is limit the tools that you're using. Keep it to around 2 or 3 tools, with one of those being SQL. You need to start building muscle memory on how to solve certain problems over and over again. And then you need to start organizing your work, whether that be naming, structure, or documentation. All right, so now let's get into the second type of data analyst, the insight builder. So this is more of a mid-level analyst. Now this is where you start turning data into answers and not just outputs. So at this stage, you can analyze data sets without getting lost. You understand what stakeholders are actually looking for within their questions. You reuse some of the code or templates that you have already made, and you start to begin to kind of notice where these problems or patterns in problems come up and how repeatedly they come up. So really what you need to do here is become efficient, consistent, and reliable. You want to move beyond the technical tasks and start optimizing for interpretation and clarity. You want to start focusing on interpreting data better and being clear when explaining or communicating findings. So here's how to level up at this mid-level stage. You want to learn to prioritize business questions, use automation or templates for repeated tasks. And this one's a key one. You want to practice explaining insights simply. All right, so this next analyst is kind of an in-between. This is what we call the business translator. So this is the in-between the mid-level analyst and the senior or lead analyst. Your strength now comes from turning that data into actual decisions. So here's some signs that you may be the business translator. You start to guide conversations, not just respond to them. You help teams define metrics and goals that will be useful for the business. You understand enough about the actual business to provide guidance in which direction the business should go and not just analysis. And people start trusting your judgment and not just your dashboards. So here's what the real job is at this stage. You're connecting the technical work to business outcomes, and you help teams think clearly, not just in data. So for this specific type of data analyst, this is how you are going to level up. You want to learn more about your company, meaning how they make revenue, the company's business model in general, and the operations themselves of the company. You want to strengthen your communication, your persuasion, and the clarity in your communication. And then you want to take ownership of major business questions. All right, now this is the last but definitely not least. This is the systems thinker, and this is usually a lead or a senior analyst. So you're no longer solving isolated problems, you're building out an ecosystem. So here are some signs that you may be a systems thinker. You design how flows work across teams. You mentor junior analysts and set best practices. You focus on scalability, long-term structure, and consistency. You influence strategy and not just tasks. So your real job at this stage is you build systems that will outlast yourself, and you shape the analytics culture and roadmap for the teams. So how to level up even beyond this position? You want to invest in architecture and modeling skills. Learn to design governance, templates, and standards. Lead cross-team initiatives and teach others how to think. So let me know in the comments which one of these analysts you are, and like this video if you like the video. Love, peace, and chicken grease.